It was the first day of junior year, and Max was excited. The new school year meant new possibilities, new classes, new friends, and, of course, the chance to show off. Max had always been one of the popular kids, a football player who was good at sports and known for his quick wit and charm. He was used to being the center of attention, and he liked it that way. As he walked into the cafeteria that morning, his eyes scanned the room, looking for his usual group of friends. But as he walked past the tables, something caught his eye. A new girl had joined their school, and she was sitting alone at a table in the corner. Her name was Sophie, and she was in a wheelchair. Max had heard about her from some of his classmates. They said she was smart and a bit reserved, but there were whispers, too. Rumors about her being an athlete of some sort. Max, of course, didn't care much for that. To him, being in a wheelchair meant you couldn't possibly be a true athlete. People with disabilities were often seen as weak or unable to compete in real sports. He found it odd that she was sitting alone. After all, she was new, and someone with her level of potential should have made an impression. But the idea of hanging out with someone who was different didn't appeal to Max. He liked hanging out with people who were like him, athletic, outgoing, and popular. So, as a joke, Max and his friends decided to have a little fun with Sophie. They casually approached her table during lunch, pretending to be friendly at first. "Hey, Sophie," Max said with a smirk. "You new here, huh? I've heard you're pretty good at sports. But I gotta say, I'm not sure how you can call yourself an athlete when you're stuck in that chair." The comment was met with laughter from his friends. Sophie looked up, a faint smile on her face. But it was clear the joke hadn't landed well. "I may not be able to walk like you," Sophie replied calmly, "but I'm still an athlete." Max snickered. "Yeah, right. You're an athlete? I don't see how that's even possible. What are you gonna do, race in your chair? I'm pretty sure real athletes don't need wheelchairs." Sophie's smile faded, but she didn't respond to his taunts. Instead, she calmly pushed her wheelchair away from the table and stood up. Her movements were graceful, but Max didn't notice the way her posture shifted, the way her face revealed a quiet strength. To him, it was just another easy target for his jokes. The next few weeks went by in a blur. Max continued to mock Sophie whenever he could. He teased her in the halls, making comments about how she couldn't possibly be as strong as the rest of the athletes at school. He even went so far as to challenge her to a race during gym class, just to prove how ridiculous it was that she could ever compete in real sports. Sophie never took the bait. She would always smile and walk away, but Max could tell it was starting to get under her skin. The more he teased her, the more Max felt like he had the upper hand. He was the king of the school, after all. No one could challenge him. But what Max didn't know was that Sophie had a secret that would turn his entire world upside down. It happened during the school's annual sports competition. Every year, the school would hold an event to showcase different talents, from track and field to swimming, to encourage school spirit. Max, as expected, was competing in the 100-meter dash and the football competition. He was determined to win every event, as he had done in previous years. But this time there was a twist. Sophie had signed up for the event, too. Max saw her registration and chuckled to himself. He figured she would be participating in the wheelchair race or something equally unimportant. He couldn't help but laugh at the idea of her even competing in the same arena as him. But when the day of the event arrived, Max's laughter quickly turned into confusion. Sophie's first event was the swimming competition. Max stood by the poolside, ready for his turn in the 100-meter race, when he saw Sophie take her place at the starting block. She wasn't in a wheelchair or using any special devices. She was in a standard swimsuit, her wheelchair parked at the edge of the pool. The whistle blew, and Sophie dove into the water with incredible speed and agility, swimming with a grace Max had never seen before. She glided through the water like a seasoned athlete, her strokes efficient and powerful. The crowd was in awe as Sophie closed in on the finish line, her body moving with precision and strength. Max was stunned. Sophie finished first, a few seconds ahead of the next competitor. The crowd erupted in applause, and Max stood there, mouth agape, unable to comprehend what he had just witnessed. But it didn't end there. Sophie's next event was the track race. Max had signed up for the 100-meter dash, sure that he would win as usual. But this time Sophie was there, positioned at the starting line. She had a specialized racing wheelchair, one built for speed, with custom tires and lightweight materials. Max thought it was just a gimmick, that there was no way she could beat him in a real race. But when the starting gun went off, Sophie was a blur of motion. Her wheelchair shot forward, faster than Max had ever seen anyone move on four wheels. Her technique was flawless, her focus unshakable. Max struggled to keep up, his legs burning as he pushed himself harder than ever before. In the final stretch, Sophie surged ahead, crossing the finish line just moments before Max did. The crowd went wild, chanting her name in disbelief. Sophie had beaten him. After the competition, Max found himself standing by the bleachers, trying to process what had just happened. Sophie had not only competed, she had dominated. Her athleticism was undeniable, and her strength, both physical and mental, had surpassed his own. He saw her sitting alone, her medals resting beside her, a calm smile on her face. Max walked over, his heart pounding in his chest. He had been wrong about her, and he knew it. He had underestimated her, belittled her, and thought she was nothing more than an easy target. Sophie looked up at him, her eyes kind but firm. Max, I've been trying to show you for weeks that being an athlete doesn't mean you have to look a certain way. You don't need to walk to be strong. You just need the will to keep going. Max swallowed hard. I didn't know, I'm sorry. I was so focused on myself that I couldn't see how much you've accomplished. You're incredible, Sophie. Sophie's smile widened. Thank you, Max. You're not a bad person, but sometimes we all need a reminder that strength comes in many forms. This story shows that strength and athleticism are not defined by physical appearance or preconceived notions. It's about the perseverance, dedication, and resilience that drive people to achieve greatness, regardless of their circumstances. The lesson is clear. Never judge someone based on assumptions, because the most incredible talents can often be found where you least expect them.